That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Peace and assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Malcolm Flex TV, and your brother wanted to do a review on the Godfather of Harlem. I was finally able to catch up on season 1 and to be able to watch the 10 episodes of the first season. First, I'd like to open in the name of Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And I also like to bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is his last and greatest messenger and exalted Christ. And I also like to bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's divine warner, teacher, and guide in our midst. Salam, I would like to greet the viewers with the greeting words of peace. Of Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for tuning in to Malcolm Flex TV and, listening and to your brother's review on the Godfather of Harlem. There's a lot of controversy going around. Many people have a lot of questions of the accuracy of the show. And I was asked about the show as well. And I didn't really want to go into too much of the show because I hadn't seen the show at the time. But now, by the grace of Allah, I am more confident in saying what I know based on what I've seen in the movie and the depictions that were created and cast by the characters of the movie. Okay, and I just want to give my honest review, my honest opinion of the show. This is the first season. I'm not sure if they will be coming out with a second season or how soon. But this was just the first season. Okay, and as you know, I am a member in the Nation of Islam. Okay, so I want to be able to give my review from my understanding of Malcolm X's and the Nation of Islam's history. And the portrayal of the Nation of Islam, and the betrayal of Brother Minister Malcolm X, and the betrayal of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Okay? So, where do we begin? First thing I would like to say is the show itself is actually very entertaining. Very dramatic, very entertaining. And it reminds me of another mafia movie, I'm not sure if you all seen The Irishman, The Godfather, Scarface. It was somewhat like that. Another mob movie, another mafia movie. And this time they have a black mafia in this, right? And no, it's not the Nation of Islam. This is Brother Bumpy Johnson and his crew, right? So this is another American gangster film, right? And it was so gangster that they even tried to gangsterize the Muslims, right? Tried to somewhat portray the members of the Nation of Islam as gangsters as well. They even portray Brother Minister Malcolm X, basically almost best friends with Bumpy Johnson. Right? And they made him very tight in this movie. And based on my own research and just being around for a while, I've never even known that Minister Malcolm and Bumpy Johnson was that tight the way the movie portrays them. Right? Which I don't believe. Okay, and when you see at the very beginning of the movie, it tells you that the characters are actual characters, but the events in the movie were fictionalized for a dramatic effect, for a more dramatic effect. Right? So a lot of these things that are taking place within the movie, right? Within the movie didn't really happen. So we have to also keep that at the forefront of our minds. So as you watch Malcolm and the Muslims that are depicted on the show, you all should notice that the demeanor and the posture in which the Muslims in the show carried themselves is not reflective how we are in real life. The brothers is, walking around with shake and stake bow ties, big fat loose bow ties. Brothers is not walking in ranks, one rank and file in order. Brothers is all over the place, mobbing up like the mafia. The brothers is looking real dusty on the show. And they never once showed Malcolm's wife, Sister Betty Shabazz. Showed his family. Every time they showed him by himself with security, and, he rubbing arms with, rubbing elbows and shoulders with gangsters, with Bumpy Johnson, and he putting Bumpy Johnson in check, and it also looked like, he was sonning the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, talking back and trying to give his own opinion over the messenger's orders, over his wishes. He like he's sonning and he's, no, they never had that type of relationship. Brother Malcolm X was the spiritual child of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That was his spiritual father, that he revered. He didn't go back and forth with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in real life. Brother Malcolm X didn't walk around with his hands in his pockets, slouched over, sitting at the table with Bumpy Johnson every time with a plate of food, eating. Every time you see him and he slouched over the table and he got this smug look about him wherever he went. And then the guy that they chose to play the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, horrible. And they say imitation is a form of flattery, but this wasn't flattering at all. There were some aspects that is entertaining because it's, Hollywood put this together. But it wasn't an accurate portrayal of the movies, Sometimes Malcolm got the teaching, it just started to sound like babble and, fake conscious babble, and really didn't have a whole lot of substance. Sometimes when he got to talking, especially when he was talking back and forth with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they had the guy who played the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was nothing close. He couldn't even sound like the messenger the way he spoke. And the dude hella tall. Malcolm was a few inches taller than the messenger, and it was obvious how much taller Malcolm was to the messenger. And in this show, Malcolm and the messenger is almost the same height. And they had one scene where the messenger went to the program where they was cleaning people up, and he asked for Sister Elise in the movie, Bumpy Johnson's daughter, to take the sister back to the hotel with him. And Malcolm had was looking at him sideways, kind of as they were insinuating that the messenger, what the accusations are about the messenger. And then they also insinuated, in the show, that the captain of Mosque number 7, wanted to basically set Malcolm up and kill him, as if it was some mafia type stuff, like the Nation of Islam was a gang or something. And he was having this conversation with an MGT sister, and they was basically, having this conversation of what was going to happen to Malcolm. And the messenger told the sister to be the eyes and the ears in Mosque number 7, and she went back and told Malcolm, a lot of this stuff is not true. It's far from the truth. And then it had, the mafia approach Brother Muhammad Ali, and basically was like, we going to expose the world that you a Muslim and da-da-da-da-da. But they left out the part where the mafia told Ali that if he didn't take the fall during the fight, that they was going to break his kneecaps. And then when Ali went back and told the messenger what the mafia had said, he responded to him by saying, well, brother, tell them that they have kneecaps too. You know what I mean? So, there are a lot of historical accuracies within the show. And it, especially with the Muslims, man, when they were trying to portray the messenger of Allah, they try to portray Brother Minister Malcolm. There was a lot of stuff added into the story that didn't historically happen. There was some stuff that was over-exaggerated, taken out of context. And I think that cinematically it looks good, right? But I think that, historically it looks terrible. It's bad. And that's why they said at the beginning of the show, that most of it has been fictionalized for a dramatic effect. Just watching the show, it's crazy. It's a lot going on, that did not historically take place. They did a horrible job with the Nation of Islam, Brother Minister Malcolm. I don't know why they are trying to mix Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam story with the story of a known gangster. That right there, I don't necessarily understand how they are trying to make that work. That they will go so far as to show Malcolm, depict Malcolm, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, members of the Nation of Islam, and they looking out for one another. I don't know why that they're trying to mix it. If you're just gonna do a gangster movie or a story or a TV show, just keep it gangster. Them trying to incorporate the civil rights. I understand all that stuff was taking place at that time, but I think that they're trying to go into it a little too deep, incorporating the Nation of Islam and not giving us a very accurate depiction or portrayal of members of the Nation of Islam. You know, and that's something that just doesn't make sense, because we have been the victims of mockery, scorn, disdain, lies, slander, scandal. You know, for them to even consider inserting the Nation of Islam in the show the way they did, you know, all the way through the first season, you know, they're depicting the Nation of Islam. You know, Malcolm having meetings in places that didn't happen in real life, you know, where they had him at in the building, you know, that building where his meeting room, like, you know, just none of that didn't make sense, man. I'm like, whoa, you know, when they showed the messenger, I was like, wow. You know, that it was just horrible, y'all. I mean, the show wasn't bad. Again, it was very entertaining, but it's like when you know the actual history at that time, you know, you don't really hear about Bumpy Johnson and his involvement with the Nation of Islam like that, with Brother Malcolm X like that. You know, what he has is his own separate thing. That's cool. All praises is due to Allah. But when they get to mixing the story with Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam with Bumpy Johnson and trying to make it look like Bumpy was getting ready to ride on the nation for Malcolm, that's fake, man. All that is not real. And it's just again, it's fictionalized for a dramatic effect, to entertain people. You know, that's what it's for. You know, and I don't even believe all the stuff that they even depicted about Adam Clayton Powell. You know, just even some of that stuff about him was questionable. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you know, so this is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. I don't want to be long, but I do recommend those in the nation who haven't seen it. I will recommend to watch it and check it out. If you don't, that's up to you. It's definitely your choice. You know, I would like to see Who Killed Malcolm X on Fusion TV. You know, that's another documentary series that's out. So I want to check that out as well. But, you know, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend to see it. If you don't, that's totally up to you. Again, it's very entertaining, but there's a lot of historical inaccuracies up in there that just don't even make sense. You know, we know that these are certain things that members of the Nation of Islam wouldn't do, wouldn't say. You know what I'm saying? And we can't use this show as an accurate authority of what actually took place historically. And we got to be careful with that. And we should learn our lesson from the Malcolm X movie. So this is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. I didn't want it to be long, but I just wanted to do this quick review because I wanted to take a look at this. So peace and assalamu alaikum.
I still see your shadows in my room. I can't take back